Let's get Eurified.
Well, seeing as though we're halfway through the season, I thought I'd take the time to share some of my oh-so-spicy takes on some of the Yuri anime that are currently airing, cause there's quite a bit to talk about here, believe it. Also, for time constraint reasons, this video won't have a ton of my usual snappy editing, just because I want to get this out as soon as possible, before more episodes come out and potentially throw a wrench into everything. Okay, so if you clicked on this video, you likely know what Yuri anime are currently airing, and are most likely watching them too, so here's a refresher. First off, we got I'm in Love with the Villainess. Next is Stardust Telepath. After that is The Vexations of a Shut-In Vampire Princess. And finally, The Family Circumstances of the Mismatched Witches. And below them are the number of episodes that I've currently watched as of this recording. So with that said, I'm just gonna power through them and give any random thoughts I have so far. So apologies if it seems rather disorganized. Oh yeah, and I just want to quickly clarify that I haven't read any of the source materials that these anime are based off of. I went into it completely raw with no protection, and now I gotta man up and face the consequences. So here we go! So first off is my overall favorite show of the season, which is probably a surprise to no one. I have to say I was kinda mixed on the first episode of Villainess, and I think it was because of how abrupt everything was. We and our main character Rei were drop-kicked into the premise of the show without a parachute, and very quickly had to come to speed with everything that was happening. We didn't get a lot of time adjusting to the current situation, or see Rei really being all that inquisitive about the fact that she was just transported into a game world. It was just boom! Wake up, see all this craziness, and start hitting on the love of your life. I was gonna make a getting your priorities straight joke, but to be honest, that kinda just wrote itself. Anyway, aside from that, the only other slight criticisms I can give the anime is the mediocre animation, the lackluster action scenes, and the occasional reliance on exposition dumping. Other than that, we kinda have a certified good anime here. Let me explain. By far the best elements of the show are the two leads. Their chemistry and rom-com interactions absolutely put the show into maximum overdrive. And not only that, but the intrigue from both Claire and Rei are especially well done. First, we get some glimpses into Claire's persona that reveals to us that she's not some one-dimensional, gimmicky archetype. For example, despite her pompous nature, in episode 2 we learn that she actually dislikes her standoffish, thorny personality to some extent, indicating a personal insecurity with herself. And in the infamous third episode, when Claire overhears a bunch of mean girls bad-mouthing our devoted heroine, she stepped up and put them squarely in their place, after realizing she herself misjudged Rei's character. All these things and more show that our hoity-toity heroine's defenses are slowly melting away. And I'm all in for the slow burn romance, baby. Especially if it keeps giving me compelling character development like this. Speaking of compelling characters, let's talk about the star of the show herself. Rei Taylor is one mysterious chick, and not in a frustrating way. The interesting thing about her is how she deliberately keeps everything close to her chest, but the anime gives us a few peeks into her headspace. The thing that stands out the most is her desire to keep her beloved Claire happy, despite accepting the possibility that her love will never be reciprocated. Now, it's implied that Rei experienced some drama in her previous life involving romance, and one or more of those dramatic events is what led her to put on her happy-go-lucky, totally fine with the way things are attitude. Now, if it isn't obvious by now, I think we could come to the safe conclusion that both characters share insecurities or turmoil, and they're all offset by a sort of coping mechanism. In Claire's case, it's her tsundere/confrontational persona, and in Rei's case, it's her comically over-the-top Claire-centric libido. And with all that said, I eagerly anticipate where all this character development will go. Just make sure to stick the landing. Also, they really are going in hard with that Claire foreshadow. Like I said, I haven't read the light novel or anything, so I can only imagine that this desire from Rei will be very important regarding Claire's future. Like super duper important. You have my attention, anime. Now show me a good time. Anyway, there's actually a buttload of things I want to talk about regarding this anime, but I didn't want to make this section more bloated than it already is, so I might just reserve all my villainess thoughts into a separate video. Just let me know if you would care enough about that. Okay, so next is Stardust Telepath, which to be honest, I don't have a ton of things to talk about. It's certainly enjoyable for sure, but it's also a fairly standard cute girls doing cute things anime. The characters are all cute and quirky, and we see plenty of adorable interactions. I will say that this is one of the more slower paced Girls Club anime. Like usually, they're quite punchy with their gags and character moments, but it seems like Telepath is taking a more methodical approach. I mean, that's definitely understandable. After all, our main character has the hardest time interacting with people, and is the very definition of a shy disaster. However, However, the difference between Umika and someone like Bocchi from Bocchi the Rock is that the latter's introversion is amped up to a comical degree, where you can have a good old belly laugh at her relatable antics. Whereas with Umika, her introversion is treated a little more seriously, and you want to cheer her on as she opens up to people in a timely, innocuous fashion. Anyway, I think I can best compare the overall style of Telepath to the anime Asteroid in Love. Both anime have a very similar, lighthearted tone, and it takes its time building the characters up. Unfortunately, we don't have a Suzu character in Telepath. Yet. Anyway, in terms of the Yuri, so far it's been light flirting between our two leads, which is about what I expected. I'm sure things will get more serious in time though. As I said, it's just one of those slower paced anime. Alrighty, so now we come to the most disheartening anime of the season. Okay, maybe that's a bit harsh, but Vexations was my most anticipated anime, and so far, I have quite a number of concerns about it. Let's talk about the most recent issue, and that's episode 5's sudden drop in animation quality. Now, I don't know what the hell happened here, but whatever it is, it clearly needed some more time in the oven. Admittedly, the animation was one of the better aspects of the anime, and now they kinda shat the bed with this one. And mind you, it wasn't just in small cases, it was constant throughout the episode. There were also a lot of editing mistakes too, like this for example. What the hell? Did Vel just teleport in front of Komori? Anyway, I'm not just here to crap on one episode. There's 4 more to talk about. Now, right off the bat, one of the biggest problems is the anime's lack of commitment to any idea or plotline. For instance, the main plot itself is that Komori is thrust into a military role, where she has to command an entire army of violent meatheads. And if it's revealed that she's not even half the powerhouse that she claims to be, then off goes her head. However, aside from her BSing her way through duels, she hasn't demonstrated at all that she is a competent military leader. All we as the audience are told is that she's apparently winning most of her battles, but we never get to see how they're won. The problem is the anime has presented us with a character who's, by all accounts, fragile, inexperienced, and totally out of her element in every aspect. There's been no setup whatsoever that she can maintain an army effectively or come up with strategies, yet somehow she's been kicking ass apparently. I'd understand if we actually see her bumble her way through these battles, just like how she bumbles her way through one-on-one fights. Then at least there's a consistency and an overarching gag in the anime. We'd also get a better understanding to why her lackeys would even follow her. She's a devastating fighter and a brilliant strategist, but the truth is that it was all thanks to dumb luck and Vilhaze's intricate tampering. Like, actually commit to this running joke. I think it would have been greatly beneficial if the anime focused more on this specific formula. Not only would it make it a more entertaining romp, but it would also give it some direction. Because as it stands, it's hard to say where the anime is really going or what it's trying to do. Another unfulfilling plotline is the whole no one can ever die thing. Now this is probably the most baffling thing in the anime. First of all, this negates any tension you might have. And secondly, why? Seriously, why is this even a thing? What's the point of it? It's also called the Entertainment War, but who's it supposed to be entertaining? Are there spectators placing bets on which army's gonna win or something? I'm willing to wait for a legit reason for the inclusion of this plotline, but so far it sticks out like a sore thumb. And speaking of sore thumbs, I unfortunately have to point out the anime's excessive use of expository dialogue. It's screenwriting 101 to practice the art of showing and less telling. Sometimes it's necessary to have a character explain what's going on, but if you make this the primary method of dumping information, then the audience will get bored real quick, especially if it's done in clunky ways. There are some examples. Komori explains to the audience her family history and everything we needed to know about her. The Empress explains to Komori and the audience using a slideshow presentation what Komori's role as a general entitles, and pretty much spills the entire plot of the anime. Komori explains to the audience in great detail what the Entertainment War is and how it works. And probably the most egregious of them all, the new character Sakuna Memoir explains to Komori and the audience through a goddamn letter who she is and everything that led to her becoming a Crimson Lord.
私の名前はサクナメモワールと言います。趣味は読書です。気軽にサクナと呼んでくれると嬉しいです。たまたま事故で前の七具天さんを殺してしまって。
My name is Ong. And I'm the Avatar. I ran away. But I'm back now.
And I wanted to point this out too, but the character who actually delivers the most exposition and monologues is Maleficent Blue Knight. Every time she's on screen, she's either talking about what exactly she's gonna do, or how she's feeling in the moment, and it's all delivered in a cartoon villain sort of way. Also, I have to mention this about her as well. This might come as a total shocker to everyone, but truth be told, she's a bit of a jerk. There, I said it. I mean, she's a jerk with a perfect body who I'd like to see another girl take to the movies, but she's still a jerk nonetheless. Anyway, before I come across like a total hater, I just want to clarify that this anime isn't bad across the board. Most of the ideas are fine, but it's just the execution that's questionable. Like I said, the animation is good when it isn't being terrible, the voice actors do a fine job with the material they're given, the comedy mostly lands for me, especially the slapstick parts, and the interactions between Komori and her thirsty mate Vilhaze is easily the most enjoyable aspect of the anime. Again, probably not a surprise to anyone. There's actually a lot of potential between these two characters. Just keep the focus of the anime about Vilhaze doing everything she can to keep a bumbling Komori from being executed, and eventually have their feelings reach each other. I think that would make it a very memorable experience. Okay, so let's end this video on a positive note by talking about the most pleasantly surprising anime of the season. So after watching the trailers for the first time, I had almost no expectations for Mismatched Witches. The animation looked unimpressive, and the comedy seemed pretty basic all things considered. But boy oh boy am I glad to be proven wrong. This anime delivers on some pretty wacky laugh-out-loud moments, and the characters are all fun to watch, especially the male supporting characters. By the way, Phoenix is the MVP of the season by a goddamn landslide. But the thing that really lit up my funny bone was that amazing 6th episode. A comment I read really summarized it well, and it's that it felt like a classic Gintama episode. Over-the-top ridiculous humor, some raunchiness, and a sweet and wholesome character story. And as a big fucking Gintama fan, I can say that I highly approve of this. Honestly, I kinda wish they would just go with this structure for each episode, where it's all about a small, self-contained story. Or if we just get these episodes once in a while, I'd be fine with that too. Anyway, if I were to give any criticisms, it would have to be that some of the jokes and sequences can drag on for a bit too long. Just like any good comedian would tell you, it's important to know when to pull out. But yeah, the heart of the show is obviously Alyssa and Viola's relationship, and I can happily say that it's handled with much care and delicacy. I'm absolutely relieved the showrunners avoided the temptation to insert any pedophilia jokes in here. I mean, Jesus Christ, you know how easy that'd be? But yeah, their interactions are as pure as the driven snow, and they really found a good balance between Viola's jealousy and overprotectiveness and Alyssa's real proud mom vibes. Now personally, do I think it's gonna lead to anything? Probably not, but that enjoyment is all I need to keep me watching. So yeah, there we have it. Those are my thoughts on all the Yuri anime as we approach the halfway point of this season. Incidentally, I'm also watching the 3rd season of Uma Musume and the superhero anime Shy, which are both fine anime. But spoilers, there isn't any Yuri in them, although they do have some shipping moments. I mean, I guess I can talk about them briefly. After all, it's not like I only talked about Yuri in this video. But yeah, some minor spoilers incoming. So with Uma Musume, I was kind of surprised by the tone of the season at first. For a bit of context, season 1 was quite lighthearted and fun overall. Then season 2 bumped the drama and seriousness up to an 11, which is also why I prefer season 1 much more. And yeah, I know that's a bit of a controversial take, but I don't care. Anyway, it looks like season 3 found a nice middle ground, which I'm totally okay with. However, what I'm not okay with is the severe lack of Kita-san and Diamond interactions. In season 2, they were extremely close, and were never not seen together. And yet, we barely get any scenes of these two together in season 3. I mean, what the fuck, man? These two are the stars of the show, and are competing to win a bunch of competitions, so naturally you'd think they would consult each other more, or help with their training or something. Anyway, I don't want to turn this into another rant. All I can say is what made the previous 2 seasons as good as they are is the rivalry relationship between the 2 leads and how much they contributed to the other's success. So far, that is completely lacking. But for now, I'll settle on them giving me some more rice shower and bourbon moments. Anyway, moving on to Shy. So this is a fairly standard superhero story, but the main draw is just how likable the protagonist is. In a very Spider-Man 2-esque style, episode 1 surprisingly fit in a lot of development for Shy/Teru, making her down-to-earth, sympathetic, and ultimately passionate about doing the right thing. It's also neat how almost every single character in the anime has contributed to her character development, and just as neat is how well she gels with those characters. Also, if I may be so bold, it seems like our sweet little protagonist is starting to amass quite the harem. Seriously, what's up with socially awkward girls getting all the honeys? Can someone do a study of this? Anyway, I do have some minor grievances though. I think the anime could use a little more world building, and maybe some explanation how the hell this hero organization is conducted. I'm also not quite sold on the antagonists. Their motivations are a bit vague, and I'm not exactly a big fan of 13-year-old edgelords who like to monologue like they're smarter than you. I got enough of that shit during my Xbox 360 online days. Also, this is more of a personal preference, but I just do not like that split screen style they have going on. It reminds me of those ugly-ass comic book panel screens from that 2003 Hulk movie. I just find them really disorientating. Again, just a preference of mine. Anyway, now we really reach the end of this video. If you're familiar with my work. I understand if you weren't expecting a full-blown, in-depth review of these shows, as opposed to me just gushing over the Yuri. However, I really wanted to express my opinions on them. All the goods, the bads, and the uglies. And like I said, if you want me to go into even more detail on a specific anime, then just give me a holler. Anyway, I can only hope that things will get even better for these shows from here on out. Because at the end of the day, that's all I ever wanted. So let me know your thoughts. Do you agree with me? Or do you think I'm full of doggy-doo? Let's talk about it.